Hey, what is up guys, MKBHD here, and today I was at Google's event where they revealed the new Nexuses, so the flagship hardware to carry the latest version of their software, Android 6.0 Marshmallow. And so this video is your one-stop shop to everything you need to know about them. So they announced 3 new devices today, Nexus 5X, Nexus 6P, and Pixel C. Alright, so the Huawei made Nexus P is the highest end, the successor to the Nexus 6, so I guess what I would call the flagship. The specs are high-end, so the newer Snapdragon 810 chip, the Adreno 430 GPU, and 3GB of RAM. And the design is actually really nice. It's a completely metal body now, and it's all chamfered at every edge, sealed in of course, as Nexuses are, but overall a very rigid, solid body that feels high quality. The camera hump is not nearly as bad as we thought it would be, so that's great. And it's one of the lightest phones of this size. I know it's 7mm thin and everything, but I didn't expect it to be this light when I picked it up, assuming it was metal. It's just 178 grams. So the lightweight plus the soft touch finish on the metal and the lack of curves made it really easy to hold. And while it does have this new big, bright 5.7-inch Quad HD AMOLED display on the front, the side bezels stay pretty thin too, so the phone definitely feels more compact than the whale of the old Nexus 6. It's got that big old Nexus logo on the back in whatever color you get, and it also has that circle on the back, which is a fingerprint reader. Google calls it Nexus Imprint. It's supposed to work in 600 milliseconds or less. I have yet to test it for myself with my own fingerprint, but if it's anything like Huawei's other fingerprint readers, it should be pretty fast. And the placement on the back here was a bit confusing at first, but it actually makes a lot of sense considering it turns out to be a pretty good place for your index finger to rest while I'm holding the phone. So there's a feature that will let you place your finger on the back while the phone is still sleeping, and it'll wake the phone and unlock it for you right away, just like the OnePlus 2. The one question mark in my head now is just how cases will address this, other than just cutting a hole in the back. But yeah, the Nexus 6P, it fills up the spec sheet and checks a lot of boxes. High-end CPU, high-end GPU, all-metal build, big bright Quad HD AMOLED display, dual front-facing stereo speakers, 802.11 AC, Wi-Fi, LTE Advanced, NFC, Bluetooth 4.2, USB Type-C with fast charging, thank you, a pretty big 3,450 mAh battery, despite looking so thin, and even a new 12-megapixel camera with f2.0 aperture that, even without optical image stabilization, was just ranked the DxO Mark No. 2 smartphone camera, just below the Samsung Galaxy S6. Now, I know that having OIS would definitely still have been preferred. It would have benefited the camera, I think, for sure, especially with video and for low-light shots, but I was shown some sample photos in low light from the 6P that looked pretty good, and the 1.55 micron pixel size is among the largest in any smartphone. So hopefully this Sony-made sensor, combined with improved image processing in Android M, will work its magic. And yeah, you've got this, pure, simple Android 6.0 Marshmallow experience with a new Nexus phone. It was, of course, super smooth and snappy, as you would expect. We got to see Google Now on Tap in action, so it looks like it takes a few seconds to work its magic, but when it does work, it lets you press the home button and hold from anywhere to get contextual information about the text on your screen. And there's all kinds of little improvements like this in the final version of Marshmallow here. So improved permissions management, there's less pre-installed apps, and you have the final Easter egg, etc. So for me, I really can't wait to test this guy full time and figure out if the camera and battery life hold up to the spec. But I think if they do, this could be one of my favorite smartphones of the year. It'll start at 32 gigs for $499 and then go all the way up to 128 gigs. Next up is the LG-made Nexus 5X. So this is a more compact and even more budget-friendly phone, and it can sort of be seen as a successor to the original Nexus 5, which a lot of people were asking for. A smaller phone with updated specs that's not huge, with that same soft touch feel, but updated specs to bring it up to speed. So that's basically what this is. Of course, it's now a plastic body instead of metal, but you get a lot of what's great about the Nexus 6P, from the fingerprint sensor to the exact same camera optics on the back to USB Type-C and fast charging, but it has the appropriate corners cut to make it a more budget-friendly option. So Snapdragon 808 chip, 2GB of RAM, 2700 mAh battery, and a 5.2-inch 1080p LCD display instead of that Quad HD AMOLED. So in many ways, a slightly redesigned and, in my opinion, cleaner and better-looking Nexus 5. And at its price, I seriously think this is a phone that anyone can consider buying, not just Nexus enthusiasts. It starts at 16 gigs, so that's a little low for no expandable storage, but that's $379, and then the 32 gig version is $429. So that's right up next to the Moto X Pure and the OnePlus 2, but with a potentially much better camera and larger battery. So again, that's potential since I have to see these tested in the full review. Now finally we saw the Pixel C. C stands for convertible, and to be brief, it looks very familiar. Basically, a 10-inch tablet that looks a lot like a Chromebook Pixel, and a magnetically attaching keyboard accessory that also looks like a lot like the Chromebook Pixel. So it's like they split the Pixel in half. It has a super bright 2560 by 1800 display, an NVIDIA X1 chip, 3 GB of RAM, and some bigger stereo speakers on either side for that crispy audio. And then the $149 keyboard accessory has some really powerful magnets in it that allow for the hinge to be really strong and actually feel solid like an actual laptop. So this guy will start at $499, so a little less expensive, I guess, than some other options like it, but still pretty interesting nevertheless. So there you have it. The new Nexus family is born for 2016. Like I said, I'm personally pretty pumped about the Nexus 6P. I think it's going to make a pretty good run at potentially being my daily phone if the battery life and the camera are as good as they promise. And I was pleasantly surprised with the 5X fitting in nicely as a phone that I would actually want to recommend to a normal person, which hasn't been the case with a Nexus phone for a little bit. Either way, thank you for watching. Definitely leave a thumbs up if you enjoyed, and if you're excited to see the full review. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Peace.